Greetings to all of you and welcome to my channel. My name is Silvertongue Phoenix and today we're going to be playing some more BeamNG.drive. In this video, we're going to drive various vehicles down a mountain and see which ones survive. As I'm sure many of you don't want to hear me ramble on for the next 5 minutes, let's get on to the destruction. To start with, we're going to take the Gavril D stock pickup truck and drive it down the mountain first, just to see what happens. Now, as I've already done this for testing, I know what happens, but, well, I digress. I wanted to show all of you, so you could all be included because, well, I'm nice like that. Maybe. I'm not sure yet. I'm still trying to create an identity for myself. Why do I keep on messing up with words? It's like I have a speech impediment. This vehicle, the truck, is getting some nice dents and damage to the body. The frame seems to be mostly untouched, however, as it tumbles around and down the mountain. That was a good solid hit to the wheels, however, and it looks like they've bent a bit. The truck, however, is still running, although I'm not sure if that's going to last very long, or if the suspension itself or the drive shaft is going to last any longer, because let's face it, rolling down a mountain is not exactly very healthy for anything of any particular weight. It's, well, you could say it's very detrimental to the health and physical condition of both us and a hunk of metal on wheels. And that's basically what this truck has become. It's just a hunk of metal with not that much form left. Surprisingly, the engine still somewhat runs, but it won't be running for very much longer. So before it dies, let's do that again with a fresh truck. And for some variety, let's go to the left here and take it down a different side of the mountain for a little bit of variety. Over here is a nice sheer drop with some opportunities to roll and really get some damage put into the vehicle. In my experience, this side of the mountain isn't as good as the other side. While it does have a bit more variation to the incline and actual terrain, it's not very good with how much it actually levels out, because after a while the vehicle actually tends to get stuck. But who am I to say that it's a bad design? It was made by the developers and it is awesome for destroying vehicles. So I guess in that sense I really can't complain, can I? Now, since that has stopped, I think we could probably increase the max strength, flip it over, and of course I do the worst flip over job, but luckily, I wasn't the worst after all, as it did land on its wheels eventually. It just needed a chance to roll a little bit more, because why not? Get in that little bit of extra body damage. And it still does run. The engine, however, is damaged. But let's see if I can get it down to the bottom. And let's see if we can still drive this thing when it reaches the bottom, if it reaches the bottom. Unfortunately not. It seems to not be wanting to respond very well, and I'm getting bored. I think it is time for us to switch to another vehicle, so let's respawn that and get another vehicle. Now, for the sake of being funny, I spawned up the 800 series faster model. Now, as you can see, it is definitely not geared for off-road. It is strictly a pavement, or, well, yeah, pavement, I guess, is the only thing you really use in vehicles. Awkward. Anyway, this is not exactly a vehicle geared or tuned for off-roading, so this will be interesting. I've not actually driven this vehicle off of this mountain before, so this is going to be interesting. I've not seen it deform at its fullest potential yet. So let's see what happens. We've got a nice good tumble right at the top. Already ripped off the front grille. Although, surprisingly, this vehicle, being the more modern designed vehicle that it is keeping its form relatively well. At the very least, at this point, you'd be suffering from whiplash, maybe a minorly broken neck, and some broken bones, but up until that hit that just occurred, you would pretty much be fine. Unfortunately, after that hit, I don't think you would be all that fine. That was a pretty violent hit, and overall the hits afterwards into the ground and the wall weren't very soft landings or hits. So you're pretty much a goner in this scenario, despite how safe this vehicle probably is or probably would be in real life. Now, as far as I know, most of these vehicles, or all of the vehicles that I'm going to be crashing in this video, are based off of actual real variants. I'm not entirely sure about the actual accuracy of that, as there might be lookalikes, but there might not be actual intended similarities between certain vehicles in real life and the vehicles in the game. One thing that I do know is that one vehicle in particular, which I will not be driving down this mountain, at least not in this episode, is the SBR4, which does not seem to have any real-world variant, which is actually surprising to me, because considering the way that vehicle manufacturers work, you would think that they would have come up with just about any and every possible design for vehicles, but the SBR4 seems to remain an exception. Again, there I go with the messing up words, and the 800 series stopped right there, so we're going to respawn it. And you know what, just for good measure, again with the terrible alliteration of the words, I'm going to back it up and see if it goes any further. Now, unfortunately, I think I just rolled it down the same... Yeah, I pretty much rolled it down the same way that it went the last time, but since I've already gone down this way, I think it's time to reset and go for another vehicle. The vehicle now loaded in. This is the I-Series. I picked this particular version because it seemed to me to be the most off-road capable because of the slightly larger tires that it has, but we will see just how off-road capable it is when we throw it down this mountain. To my knowledge, this is a pretty decent vehicle. I would actually, to be honest, drive this vehicle if I could find the real-world variant or look-alike of this vehicle, then I would probably get if it's a decent vehicle. But to be honest, I'm fine with this. After all, I do have a fascination with crash physics and all that fun stuff. Stuff that you can't really do in real life because, of course, there are consequences to that. You can't just press a reset button and just have it all be fixed automatically. The unfortunate truth of that has kept me from ever trying stuff that you are capable of doing in BeamNG Drive, so that's why I stick with BeamNG Drive. It's fun, and there's no real consequences that you have to deal with after destroying your vehicle in the game. Okay, now that we have completely destroyed this vehicle, I'm actually surprised that the engine is still running. And oddly enough, the vehicle still puts down enough power to be able to move, and it can somewhat turn. I just realized that with the others, I wasn't actually testing out whether they'd drive or not, which is unfortunate. Alright, so just so I don't waste any more time, I'll reset that. And I think for this one, pardon me, I will go to the right this time and get stuck immediately. Brilliant. Okay, let's reset and try that again. Alright, so we'll go left instead because that seems to work out the best. And slow down because why not? And for the sake of the video itself, let's see about getting a nice camera angle, because every good video needs a thumbnail. And hold on. And there, hopefully. If that doesn't do it, then I'll try another one. In fact, I'll probably do multiple thumbnail opportunities in this video. I might cut a few of them out, but that was as I feel that that's about as good as I'm going to get. This is surprising. Okay, so it seems that all but one of the wheels have been knocked off of the vehicle, and the vehicle on top of that is on fire. I'm surprised that that two of the four doors on the vehicle have not popped open yet. But I guess that's just the beauty of soft body physics. You think certain things are going to happen, but they don't. So you get some different and interesting crashes. A little bit of lag there because frame rate drop because the mountain goes into view. All in all, this map is actually fairly small, but it does have a lot of surface area due to the height of the mountain. So all in all, it is a fairly big map, so it does cost a little bit of CPU usage, which drags down my computer, as I don't have any sort of top-end computer. Even on smaller maps like this, it does struggle a little bit. Unfortunately, that actually means that maps such as Jungle Rock Island and West Coast USA I can't really do any recording with because of how just overall large the maps are, so they really drag down my computer, and I get only about maybe 8 frames a second on West Coast and about 12 frames on Jungle Rock Island. So I'm not complaining though. Well, I guess I am, but I'm trying not to complain too much. The computer that I have does work, so I'm happy with it. The fact that I can actually do any recording at all and upload it is just fantastic and awesome. It's actually one of the few things that I've really wanted to do, and I'm getting to do it, so here I am. I'll probably be cutting this out, but reset the vehicle and pick another one. This next one is the off-road hopper. If you look at the bottom right-hand corner, you can see the simple controls. You can lock both of the differentials. It's got This next vehicle is the Ibishu Hopper, and I have chosen specifically the off-road version of the vehicle. This is a slightly newer vehicle that was added to the game about 1.5 years ago, or so. I haven't really been keeping track as much as I should, considering how much I really like this game. But it's very good with crashing. It's very fast. Do give me a moment to slow this down, and let's press F12 to take a picture of that, because that is awesome. And let's speed up time a little bit, but not too much, because I know how much some people really like slow motion. Slow motion crashes are really nice. Slow that down a little bit to see the impact a little better. Now, unfortunately, because of all the cracks, crevices, and tight spaces that these vehicles go down while rolling down this mountain, it's not exactly easy for me to get a good camera angle very quickly to look to watch a nice crash. For the next vehicle, I will try it though, just to satisfy some of you who might like interesting perspectives on crashes. One thing I will not do or subject any of you to is an attached camera angle on the vehicle, because then you'd see all that turning around and flipping as if you were also part of it, and last I've checked, that can actually make some people motion sick, and that's not something that I want to do to any of you people. That I want to do to any of you. Why do I keep on slipping up with my speech? I really don't like that. Alright, so now that that has become a blazing pile of scrap and rubber, just a sad pile of metal just burning on a desolate shoreline in the middle of nowhere. Oddly enough, the engine's still running despite all that. I try to turn, the wheels don't turn, but they stand up. Whoop. Nope, I'm landing back there. Okay, let's reset the hopper and go left this time. For a little bit more variety, I'm going to go off of this little bump. Slow this down. Let's pause this. And see if we can get a good crash angle. This looks like it would be pretty good. And resume. Let's speed that up a little bit. Slow it down and back out. And this will be the last attempt for a thumbnail. Let's zoom out right here. That's about as slow as it's gonna go. Let's let it go down a little bit and then get the screenshot. That's not a very good camera angle, so I can go through the camera angles. Let's get the camera back to where it belongs and watch the rest of the crash. I do hope that that little interesting perspective satisfies some of you. I don't know if it will, but you know what? I'll give it a try anyway, because I personally don't know what I'm doing. This is still new to me. I'm not very good with commentary, so I figure why not practice with this so I can get better. I've actually always wanted to do commentary videos on stuff like this and actually be a part of a community and give to people in a way that as an individual I normally can't. And being able to do something like this, it feels pretty good. I'm only just starting out and it makes me feel good to be doing this. It really does feel good to give all of you something to enjoy. That's what I seek to do, is to give people something to enjoy, and I really do hope that I'm actually doing that. Anyway, enough being cheesy. Reset the vehicle and pick another vehicle. I think we're going to only do about 1 or 2 more vehicles before I wrap this up. For the next one, I will be driving the Burnside Special down the mountain. This is the base model automatic. Those are really, really nice white walls. I've always been a fan of really old classic cars and such. Just the oversized look that they have with the very, very curvy, sculpted frames and bodies that they have. Very big and just overall beautiful. I've always loved older vehicles for just how simple and just awesome they can look. And personally, this is something that actually hurts me. Sending an old classic vehicle like this down a mountain and just destroying it. This is honestly painful for me. For the other vehicles, not really. It doesn't really do anything for me with the other vehicles because I don't personally have a connection with more modern vehicles, but vehicles like this, like the Burnside, I just have a very strong connection to, because I've always liked older cars and just the way they're built, the way they sound, the way they can sound. I mean, I've never been a fan of really loud or intentionally loud engines, but any engine that gives you a little bit of that hair standing on the back of your neck when you hear it rev up, just that almost low growl of the engine. Anytime I've ever heard something like that, it's just, it sounds good and it feels good. I don't know if that's just my old car guy sort of mentality kicking in, or if I'm actually making sense to anybody. I probably am making sense to a lot of you, while I'm also not making sense to some of you, but I'm probably overthinking all of this and probably commenting on all the wrong stuff. I'm just practicing here, so. And as you might guess, the older vehicles always had a higher chance of catching flame. Not that modern vehicles can't catch on fire easily. It's always worried me with how much wiring, especially really new vehicles have. Just all the wiring that goes into them, to every sensor, every circuit, every computer, every chip. It's ridiculous. And I guess that's probably one of the reasons why I like older cars, because of the simplicity of it all. Very few wires, most of it being analog. I guess it's just, with older vehicles, they're easier to work on because you don't have to worry so much about the wiring and the computer and everything going bad. Because with a computer, if the computer goes bad, pretty much the entire vehicle is bad. And that's something you don't want. Whereas in an analog vehicle with very little electronics, it's easier to fix, and you don't have to worry about any onboard computer breaking, which is both good and bad, because with modern vehicles, that onboard computer monitors all the moving components, all the electrical components, monitors basically almost every part of the engine. So if something goes bad on the engine, that computer is going to know about it. But the problem is that if the computer is broken and something at the same time is also wrong with the vehicle, you're not going to know about it until it's too late. But I guess that's just my preference on the whole matter. I'm going to switch to one more vehicle, and for this one, I'm pretty sure everyone knows what this vehicle is. And I'm just going to roll this one down the hill once, because you only really need to see it get beat up once. For the sake of additional hilarity, I chose the box version of the all too familiar Abishu Pigeon, which is probably better known for, or with BeamNG Drive, than the actual stock Gavril D series. in terms of being known. No, that was stupid. You know what? I'm leaving that one in. And this thing, despite how much it bounces and doesn't like hills, and just overall is very lightweight and terrible, it holds up surprisingly well for how flimsy it actually is. It's got a, as you can see on the bottom, it has a very flimsy looking, thin, not very well reinforced frame. It's got a very small, I believe, 2-cylinder engine in it. And it's got the smallest, just absolutely smallest cab. Supposedly you can fit 2 people in this thing, but I personally think that 1 person would barely be able to fit, considering how small it is. And there we go, as I was hoping for, the back little cargo box fell off, leaving half of the frame completely exposed and open to absolute abuse and torment. Guaranteed this thing is not going to be driving anywhere in a straight line, as it tumbles around and bounces, flips, and just a bunch of sadness going on here. This is a very, very, very sad Abishu pigeon. It actually looks sad too, with the front end just crumpled forward like that. It looks like a sad little unibrow with or something. It looks so sad and derpy. That's okay. I enjoyed that. Anyways, that is going to do it for this video. I do hope all of you enjoyed watching. If any of you have any suggestions for more BeamNG.drive content for me to do, or if you have any suggestions for other games that I could play, please let me know in the comments down below. Until the next video, stay awesome.